to be speaking to you today about meat selection and how to use them in various methods. There's different types of meat. Speaking in the way of cow, there are 3 parts of the cow. And the first part typically consists of the round and the brisket, and then the middle part of the short loin and the sirloin, as well as the short plate. And the back typically consists of just the round, which is the second part of the round. Within the round, there are different cuts of meat. The front round consists of stewed beef cuts, as well as the brisket, which is can be a complete flat cut of meat, or it can be separate pieces of it. There's also a foreshank, which contains a bone as well, and there's well marbled. Most of them are well marbled. In the front, you typically want to use the front meats for braising or longer cooking methods, because you're going to get better consistency out of the meat due to a lot of the connective tissue that moves around in the shoulder of the cow. As well as in the brisket, most of the time you see that done on the grill. That's done on longer methods. That's done with charcoal and a longer tent. And then the next part we're going to move on to is the short loin, where you get most of your expensive cuts of meat, including your porterhouse and your T-bone, your filet mignon. Those tend to be more expensive, and they are well marbled as well. Similar cuts of meat. They're similar to each other in the sense that they're mostly steaks. They're mostly good cooking for dry cooking methods, because they don't require a lot of time to develop all of the juices in the meat, and they still will be very tender for you in the end. The other part would be on the short plate, which would be your skirt steak and your flank steak, which you use for fajitas, or if you want to slice the meat. You definitely have to slice them on the bias, though, because if you slice them against the grain, you're going to get a better cut of meat. If you slice with the grain, you're going to get like shoestring, which a lot of people don't know. But, that'll help you in the future when you're making your fajitas and all your other types of meat that you like to slice. The sirloin is another part of the meat next to the short loin. It also produces good cuts of meat, such as sirloin steak, sirloin roast. You can braise them, you can saute them, you can do it dry method or combination method cooking. The longer you cook it, the more it's going to develop the flavor, the more it's going to make the meat juicier and to create a better flavor for you. The last part is the round, which is the back of the cow, which normally you get your ground beef from. That's going to give you your hamburger patties, and it's also going to give you a good roast that will help you to make good pot roast, or if you want to slice cube it up, that'll give you good meat for steak. Will give you good steak meat for your stews. The back of the cow gets a lot of connective tissue as well due to the movement, so that does tend to make it tougher, so you want to cook it on a longer cooking method. It also gives you a good amount of flavor as well due to the marbling in the meat. Overall, the cow is a good usage of meat. There's lots of different flavors. There's lots of different things that you can do with it. Marinades are very good on the ones that you use combination methods for, especially when you're doing your braising, which would be good for the front parts as well as the back parts. It's also good to use dry cooking methods, to remember to use your dry cooking methods on things that have less connective tissue, such as your steaks. The rule of thumb pretty much is the cheaper the cut of meat, the longer you're going to have to cook it. The more expensive the cut of meat, the less you'll have to cook it. And the seasoning on the meat depends on what particular flavors you like. You can use oils, vinegars, different types of spices. It's also good to make sure that you can tenderize your meat using a meat mallet, putting it in between 2 pieces of flat saran wrap and pounding it out. You can make scallopinis, which are good. The complement to cow would be veal, and Another good thing to use would be it would be a lot tenderer. Overall, it's a good amount of meat and a good amount of information that you can find on the web. A lot of my sources I've used from a culinary class that I did take, and also a website. You can also check out all that information on the USDA.gov, which gives lots of information on that. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.